The final update. I've always loved old games. The ones that came out in the early 2000s with blocky graphics, creepy textures, and an atmosphere that modern 888 projects don't even try to recreate. For me, it was more than just a hobby. It was diving into an era when developers experimented, weren't afraid to take risks, and created something truly unique. I spent hours browsing old forums, in abandoned archive sections, in the shadowy corners of the internet where enthusiasts shared forgotten builds, cancelled projects, leaks from studios that had long since closed. My collection had over 200 such games. Some of them were real gems, others were complete garbage. But each discovery was a little adventure. 3 weeks ago, I stumbled upon a post on a semi-abandoned forum. The thread was simply titled, Cyberscape. Does anyone remember? The author wrote that it was a beta version of an online shooter from an unknown studio whose development stopped somewhere around 2003. No official releases, no mentions in the press. Just one test build that allegedly circulated among a narrow circle of testers. I asked for a link. The author responded 2 days later, sent me a link to a file hosting site and wrote, "Be careful. This game is strange." I laughed at the warning, thought it was just an attempt to create a mystical aura around another forgotten project. The download took a few minutes. The archive was only 300 megabytes, ridiculously small even for a game of that era. Inside was an installer and a text file with notes in broken English. Something about a test server, unfinished textures, bugs in the spawn system. Nothing unusual. The installation went strangely fast. Literally 10 seconds. And the shortcut was already on my desktop. The icon was a distorted skull against a background of digital noise. I launched the game. The splash screen was minimalist. The game's title flickering in red letters. No music. Just white noise and periodic clicks, as if someone was switching old radio frequencies. I clicked New Game. I was immediately thrown into a lobby. No character selection menu, no settings. Just an empty room 3 meters by 3 meters with grey walls and one door. In the corner of the screen was the text, Players Online, 1. I was alone. I went through the door and found myself in a huge maze of corridors. The graphics were exactly what I expected. Angular models, blurred textures, harsh shadows. The lighting was dim, light sources flickered. Everything looked abandoned. Monitors with dead screens hung on the walls. Here and there lay overturned office chairs, scattered papers, knocked over coffee cups. The atmosphere was oppressive. I walked through the corridors for about 10 minutes, not encountering a single enemy, not a single interactive object. Just endless turns, stairs going down, technical rooms with humming servers. The sound design was minimal. The hum of ventilation, creaking metal, distant dripping water. Then I heard footsteps. Clear, measured footsteps. Someone was walking down the corridor. I stopped and listened. The footsteps also stopped. I took a few steps forward. They resumed, matching my rhythm. I turned around. The corridor behind me was empty. I opened the map. It only showed me a lone green dot in a huge labyrinth of grey lines. No enemies, no other players. But the footsteps continued. I ran. The footsteps behind me quickened, turning into stomping. I turned into a side corridor, went down a staircase, ran into a dark room, and hid. My heart was pounding. I understood this was just a game, but the atmosphere was so tense that I involuntarily pressed back into my chair. The stomping passed by the room, died down. I exhaled, and then a message appeared in the chat. "You shouldn't have come here." I flinched. The chat was empty. I hadn't written anything. According to the counter, only I was on the server. But the message hung on the screen in white letters against a black background. I tried to respond. Typed, "Who's there?" Pressed enter. My message didn't appear. Instead, a new response came. "You broke the rules." My hands began to sweat. I tried to exit the game. Pressed escape. Nothing. The menu wouldn't open. Pressed Alt plus F4. The game didn't close. Tried to bring up Task Manager. The screen didn't even flicker. The game had me trapped. I frantically hit the keyboard. A new inscription appeared on the screen, but not in the chat anymore. It appeared right in the center of the screen in huge red letters. The hunt begins. A timer appeared below the inscription. 10 minutes. The countdown started, and then I heard a voice in my headphones. Hoarse, distorted, barely audible through the interference. Find the exit before it's too late. I tore off my headphones, but the voice didn't stop. It was now coming from the speakers, from the computer itself, from the walls of the room. I put the headphones back on. In the game, my character was still standing in the dark room. The timer was counting down. 9 minutes, 30 seconds. I needed to find the exit. I ran out of the room and ran through the corridors. Now they looked different. The walls were covered with strange symbols, some kind of runic signs that weren't there before. The monitors on the walls came to life. Distorted faces flickered on them, blurred, silently screaming, dissolving into interference. I tried to open doors. Most were locked. Those that opened led to dead ends or back to the same corridors. The map no longer helped. It constantly changed. Corridors rearranged themselves as if someone was editing the level in real time. 7 minutes. 6. 5. The footsteps returned. Now there were more of them. Many footsteps from all directions. I ran without choosing my path, turning randomly. My heart was ready to jump out of my chest. And then I saw it. At the end of a long corridor stood a figure, a black silhouette, absolutely motionless. It had no face, no features, just a dark mass in the shape of a person. It stood and watched. I could feel that gaze. I turned and ran in the opposite direction. Looked over my shoulder. The figure had disappeared. I exhaled with relief and looked forward again. It was standing right in front of me, a centimeter from my character, huge, filling the entire screen. I involuntarily leaned back against the chair. The screen went dark. Completely. The computer hadn't shut down. I heard the hum of the fans, saw the indicators on the system unit. But the monitor was black. Then a piercing whistle sounded in the headphones, so loud that I barely managed to tear them off. The whistle turned into white noise, the noise into distorted laughter. Children's laughter, interrupted by interference. And then I heard a knock, not in the game, not in the headphones. On my door, on the real door of my room. 3 short knocks. Pause. 3 more. It was about 3 in the morning. I live alone. The door to my apartment was locked with 2 locks. I sat motionless, staring at my room door. The knock repeated. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Methodical, persistent. The monitor came back to life. White text appeared on the black screen. Game over. Now it's my turn. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight and approached the door. Looked through the peephole. There was no one in the hallway. I listened. Silence. Absolute silence. I returned to the computer. The screen was normal. Desktop, icons, everything as usual. The game wasn't in the running processes. I checked Task Manager. Nothing suspicious. Opened the game folder. It was empty. The files had disappeared. I tried to convince myself it was a glitch. Maybe graphics card overheating. Maybe a virus. I ran antivirus. Nothing found. But I heard the knock. That was real. That night, I didn't sleep. Sat until morning, checking every rustle, every creak. By dawn, I had almost convinced myself that it was all a hallucination. Fatigue, overwork, too much time at the computer. But the next night, at exactly 3 o'clock, I heard footsteps again, outside my window. I live on the 5th floor. The footsteps were walking along the wall. Slow, measured. From top to bottom, I didn't dare approach the window. 3rd night. Footsteps in the apartment hallway. I checked. The door was locked. The chain was in place. But the footsteps were there. They walked from room to room,
Fourth night.
stopping at my door.
Footsteps behind the wall. Right behind my bed's headboard, as if someone was walking inside the wall. I started looking for information about this game. Found the forum where I downloaded the file. The thread was gone. The author had deleted their account. I tried to contact the administration. No one responded. Yesterday, the 6th night, I received an email. No subject, no sender. Just one file attached. Cyberscape _ update _ final.exe, and a short message. You didn't finish the game. It will finish you. Run the update. It's the only way to complete what you started. I didn't open the file. Deleted the email, emptied the trash, but an hour later it appeared again. In the inbox. The same file, the same message. I deleted it again, turned off the computer, unplugged it from the wall. Tonight is the 7th night. It's 2:47 a.m. right now. The footsteps started 13 minutes ago. They're in my room now. I can hear them circling my chair. But when I look around, there's nothing there. The computer turned on by itself, even though it's unplugged. The screen is glowing. The game is running. The character is standing in that same lobby. And in the chat, there's a message. Time to finish what you started. Install the update. The file is on my desktop. I didn't put it there. It appeared on its own. My cursor is moving toward it, but I'm not touching the mouse. The footsteps are right behind me now. I can feel cold breath on my neck. The file is opening. Installation begins. 1%, 5%, 15%. I don't know what will happen when it reaches 100%, but I know I can't stop it. If you're reading this, if you ever come across a game called Cyberscape, don't download it, don't play it, don't even look at it. Some games don't let you go. Some games follow you home. And some games were never meant to be played by humans at all. Installation, 87%, 93%, 98%. The footsteps stopped. The room is silent, too silent. Something is standing behind me. I can see its reflection in the dark part of the screen. Tall, faceless, waiting. 99%. God help them. This transcript was found on a gaming forum posted by user deadpixel_2003. The user's account shows no activity since that post. Local authorities conducted a welfare check at the registered address. The apartment was empty. The computer was on, displaying a black screen with a single line of text. Player 2 has joined the game.